Imagine a place so completely hostile, so entirely cut off from human civilization that, for centuries, it was basically just a myth. We're talking about a frozen wasteland where no human naturally lives, hiding some truly terrifying secrets beneath 3 miles, actually make that 3 kilometers of solid ice. This is the frozen enigma, Antarctica.
Okay, let's dive right into this. To even begin to understand the mystery here, you have to understand the sheer brutality of the environment. Temperatures plummet to an agonizing minus 90 degrees Celsius. Add in blinding blizzards with winds tearing across the ice at 300 kilometers per hour. And yet, despite all that ice, this continent is entirely starved of water. It gets barely 51 millimeters of rain a year, which makes it, incredibly, the largest, driest, and most unforgiving desert on Earth.
Which brings us to a really chilling geopolitical mystery. If this place is essentially a giant frozen death trap, why have global superpowers spent centuries fighting tooth and nail for a piece of it? What exactly is hidden out there that makes the world's most powerful nations willing to risk absolutely everything to control it?
Well, the history of this ice is just paved with obsession and, frankly, death. Long before recorded European history, ancient 7th century Polynesian Maori legends whispered of this frozen southern realm. Fast forward to 1820, and Russian explorer Fabian von Bellingshausen finally spotted the ice. And by 1911, the race for dominance turned deadly. British explorer Robert Falcon Scott and his entire team literally froze to death attempting to conquer the landscape.
But the obsession only escalated from there, especially as the world entered a new era of global conflict. Get this, in 1939, driven by this crazy, aggressive hunger for territory, Adolf Hitler actually ordered the German Air Force to drop Nazi flags straight from the sky, desperately trying to claim this frozen expanse for himself.
But the real secrets? They aren't on the surface. They're buried. Scientists have found fossilized wood proving that 90 million years ago, this was a warm continent covered in dense tropical forests. And today, beneath 3 kilometers of solid ice, there are over 400 hidden subglacial lakes. And they aren't dead either. They harbor these entirely alien, blind ecosystems. We're talking giant spiders and see-through jellyfish that exist literally nowhere else on the planet. And the bizarre discoveries don't stop there. Deep in McMurdo's dry valleys lies this terrifying anomaly known as Blood Falls. Just imagine walking through this pristine, white frozen wasteland and suddenly coming across a waterfall that looks like pure blood pouring right out of the glacier. It is deeply unsettling.
For years, it was this massive mystery. But here's the truth. It flows from a super salty subglacial lake that's been completely cut off from the atmosphere for millennia. The water is incredibly rich in iron, so when it finally breaches the surface and hits oxygen, it oxidizes instantly. The glacier is essentially bleeding rust. Wild, right?
Now, extreme isolation like this makes Antarctica a total breeding ground for internet lore. Wild conspiracies about ancient civilizations and alien UFOs, but geopolitical experts, they point to a much more grounded and honestly equally chilling reality. We're talking covert military air operations and secret maneuvering by global powers, all happening far away from the public eye. Now, on paper, this kind of covert maneuvering isn't supposed to happen at all. The 1969 Antarctic Treaty explicitly states the continent is for peaceful, scientific investigations only, and all results have to be shared. Sounds like a perfect utopian agreement, doesn't it? While the world's attention is focused elsewhere, Antarctica has been quietly sliced up like a giant pie. France, Norway, Australia, Britain, Chile, Argentina, and New Zealand have all drawn lines across the map, quietly carving out these vast territorial claims for themselves. Back in 1992, the U.S. Geological Survey made a shocking discovery. Buried deep beneath those freezing storms and miles of ice lies an estimated 500 billion barrels of natural gas and oil reserves. That is an incomprehensible amount of fuel. But if you think this is just a story about a traditional oil rush, you'd be mistaken.
See, we are in the middle of a massive global energy shift. The superpowers of today aren't just obsessing over oil and gas anymore. The race for global dominance has completely pivoted toward the vital components needed to power our electronic future.
They are hunting for rare earth minerals. Massive deposits of osmium, praseodymium, terbium, and dysprosium have been discovered down there. Yeah, they're incredibly hard to pronounce, but these exact minerals are the absolute key to controlling the multi-trillion-dollar electric vehicle and ion battery markets. Whoever controls these minerals controls the future of global technology. But there's an even bigger, much more existential stake at play here than just tech. The treacherous Southern Ocean surrounding Antarctica is literally keeping our planet alive. This ocean acts as a massive climate buffer, absorbing a staggering 15% of all global carbon emissions. It single-handedly regulates our world's climate and water supply. Which brings us to a really dark, terrifying irony. As global warming takes its toll, the ice is melting.
And as that ice melts, those 500 billion barrels of oil and those incredibly valuable rare earth minerals, they're becoming much easier to reach. On top of that, the melting ice is poised to create entirely new, vastly important shipping and trade routes across waters that used to be completely impassable.
So, the final untouchable frontier on Earth is thawing out. This pristine scientific sanctuary is slowly revealing itself as a trillion-dollar geopolitical goldmine. So the ultimate question remains, as the ice melts and the greatest treasures on Earth are finally exposed, who is going to claim our future?